We are on Phil and the Kid podcast. Now, it might not be called that for too long, so we got to change the name. It has something to do with the fact that nobody could find us, because whenever you search us, you find Dr. Phil with 14-year-old girls.
Yeah, not necessarily always girls, but like
12-year-old
Dr.
kids.
Phil and children and their problems, and that's just not
Even
the
though
image
it's
that
pretty
we're going
similar
for.
to what this is right now. It's the old man with the up-and-coming young.
I'm 30. I'm like a child still. You're just an infant.
I'm just playing. But you can definitely notice the new setup here. It looks pretty nice.
Can they notice it if they're listening to the audio version though?
Oh yeah. Snap.
I can't believe I can still do that. That's so like 2005.
I have tennis elbow now.
Fuck off.
I haven't even played.
Yeah, tell us. Tell me about all your new tennis skills there,
so
bud.
I decided. So I was really thinking about this, and with cases rising, and especially with winter coming. Winter's coming.
Thanks, John.
You know nothing, Jon Snow. Okay, sorry. Anyways, yeah, with winter coming, I was like, what is everybody going to do for this winter? Right now, we go outside, we go for a walk, we go to a patio. You can literally spend time outside. But once winter,
new World of Warcraft expansion's coming out.
it's literally it's going to be gaming. That's it, right? So I was thinking to myself, I need to find a new hobby to do that's not real estate 24/7, even though that's what I do, and it's still going to probably be real estate.
Break it up a little bit.
24. I need to do something where
27.
Excuse me. We just ordered Papa John's and just crushed it.
You can't order Papa John's in 2020, bro. You get canceled for eating Papa John's.
Hey, the day of reckoning is coming.
Oh, Jesus.
That's an inside joke. If anybody saw the interview with Papa John.
Anyway.
Oh, my God. My body's making weird noises. I'm sorry, everybody.
It's because you ate garlic
butter.
Butter for dipping sauce?
Yeah, it's so good.
That's vile.
So I was looking at places to get a membership into so I can play some winter sports, and decided I found one. Gonna get into tennis and the gym, and maybe the pool, because there's a pool there too, and maybe I'm gonna become a swimmer. Even though
Swim lengths.
Honestly, swimming to me has never made sense.
Spiro Phelps.
I don't have first of all, my body shape is not of a swimmer. It's more of a sitter. I like to sit and play video games or sit in front of a computer.
See.
So that's the first issue. Second issue, I never understood swimming. Why would you ever put yourself in a life or death situation and be like, this is so much fun?
Because like, what else are you gonna?
You can not swim?
Do you not run faster when you're being chased? Do you not swim better when you could die?
I mean, there's no time you're swimming where you can't die. Think about it. If at any point in time you're just like, I'm done.
I mean, if you have like a seizure in a 4-foot
I don't want to think
pool,
about this. This thought has crossed my mind.
I guess. How are you gonna die in like a resort little like 4-foot swim up bar?
How's your week been, man?
What, you don't want to talk about swimming anymore?
I don't like talking about any health injury in a pool. It stresses me out.
What about like repairing your old hips and knees after surgery? Pools are great for that.
Yeah, shallow ends.
Yeah, you can't die. Well, I mean, you could in theory.
What are you gonna do in a deep end? Drown.
You're gonna float.
You're gonna float
You're gonna
or drown.
tread water. You're gonna dive.
So how was your week?
It was wild. I'm not gonna lie. The first little bit, I don't even remember what it's been. We had a listing go up today. That's cool. Holla holla.
I guess it's been 2 weeks since we shot our last one. So
I think we were in the midst of reno.
Exactly. Last week, Phil had some more tradespeople come in to fix something in the studio, and we couldn't shoot. So
It's called a house.
It's called a basement.
Yeah,
we're in the basement.
Yeah,
but we call it a studio, so we sound better.
That's fair,
right? And it looks pretty dope now.
It does look pretty dope.
Yeah,
actually.
for you that haven't, or you were listening to the podcast and not watching,
watch the clips.
Maybe follow me on Instagram at Spiro Vriselis, or follow Phil at Phil.
Wait, no, that's not it. Phil G.
.re. How do I know it and you don't?
I don't know.
Well, follow one of us or Phil and the Kid, but we haven't been posting.
We should
much
probably
lately.
do some drops on the Kid.
Yeah, so
Phil.
I think Andre's gonna probably take a hold of that one, but we haven't even talked to him about it. He just looked at me like, "What the fuck?"
He's like, "I'm doing what now?"
So I mean, the place looks awesome.
Oh yeah, It's dope now.
Yeah.
We have proper lighting. You can see my face. I'm blind during this whole episode. I don't even know what I'm looking at right now because there's so much fucking light in here.
You're looking at one handsome devil.
I hope you're just green screened out because of your fucking whole color match situation.
I know there's a lot of
all
blue
you see
going
is a
on here.
floating head and a
My
couple of
hat.
arms.
It's not even just
a
my
single
eyes and
Nike
my
check.
Yeah. It's okay. I didn't plan this. Cheers, man. This has been a good year. I think it's been
I can't complain about
practically exactly a year since we started this. Only, what is it, 14 episodes, something like that?
This is 15.
This is 15, episode 15.
We're more than one a month.
More than one a month.
On average.
Yes, but we should be doing more, and we will be doing more.
One a week.
Man, from the first steps that we took into that first podcast studio to now, look how far we've come. And we've had a crazy year with ups and downs, and this past week just goes to show both of us new listings going up.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's been a good week for us. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your listing?
Okay, so we got Crazy Junction, giant 2.5 story semi.
That's the best you got, man.
That's it. I'm a good realtor. You should use me as your realtor.
How's your listing going? It's a giant.
No, legit though. It is
a giant semi. You should buy it.
It's a pretty bomb like Victorian.
It is pretty. It's a great price.
Like nice.
I was looking through it today and I was like, this is a steal at
like
this price.
Fully 2,500 livable square feet for
giant.
$1.1 million in the Junction. 2.5 story.
Is it split?
It's right now it's 2 units.
Yeah.
So they've got it as like a 2-bedroom plus a loft upper kind of thing.
Okay, cool.
And then the basement and main are together, so you kind of go in through the back. They got like a little pond situation, like a little koi fish garden in the back.
No, it looks really cool.
So it's like a 2-bed downstairs, but it could be like a 4-bed giant home for a family too. It's like our traditional, right? Walk in the front door, your stairs go up, and then living room off to the side where you'd convert into like 3 units if we did a lot of that with the semis.
What's market rent for both of those?
That whole place probably like $6,000. They had the upper rented for 3 before, and we were just trying to figure out listing wise. We ended up getting the tenants out for the listing, which made life easier, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
But they were paying 3 Gs upstairs, and maybe not quite 6, maybe like 55, 56, something like that.
To be conservative.
Lower's not quite as big. Yeah, I mean, COVID numbers are a thing. But it's a good one. It's
a good one.
huge. Like it's just a
what's the list at?
Giant house, 1-1. Offer date next Wednesday. Call it your boy. I mean, this will probably be out after the offer date, anyways. Early, we'll see.
We're gonna have to have a schedule for that too, but
and then we got our. If you listen back to episode whatever the hell it was, 6, 5, 7, something like that, that's 671 house. Our episode with
that was during our first episode.
Right, our episode with Marco.
That's
I think it was like episode 11 or something. With Marco was shot in this house. That's going up probably in like 3 weeks. The tenants just moved out, and this was not intended to be a flip. I don't know. Some of y'all might have seen my like salty ass Instagram story when I first walked back in the place. These guys, and this is to say, like, this can happen to anybody, right? You got to vet your people, and if you kind of take a misstep, and even if you do vet them right, there is a chance that one of them pros kind of sneaks their way into your house. And we got COVID burned, if you will. So they moved in, they paid kind of first and last, and literally it was like COVID the next day, and Ford was like, don't pay your rent if you can't afford to blah, blah, blah.
He never said that, actually. Right. He said to pay your rent.
Yeah, well, no kidding. But
He's
like,
pretty good with that.
No, the first round, it was like, if you can't pay for groceries or whatever, right? But whatever it was, they were immediately like on the bandwagon of...
They're just like, oh, we're not paying you anymore.
Sorry, we're not paying. And we're like, uh-oh, it's COVID. LTB's shut down. What do we do?
Nothing you could have done at that point.
What do we do? And then LTB opened back up, and we were able to, like, we filed, and very shortly after we filed, like, our paralegal was like, the wait time is, like, ungodly, right? We're looking at April next year for them to even, like, be out if we're talking about a real eviction. And we're just like, so we're going to be at a $40,000, $30,000 loss by the time they're out. Sick. That's fun. And then I guess our paralegal applied enough pressure, and they were just like, sick, we're out. And then they bounced. It was wild. They sent us a text or an email, And they were like, yeah, the keys are in the back, and we left the door open. We're gone. And I was like, well, blessing, yes, thank you. But also, I wonder what it could look like in there. So I had like high wishes and very low expectations, if that makes sense. And then we went in, and it was like, I mean, it's fucking disgusting. There was shit. Like, if I opened one drawer in the kitchen, there was shit sitting on top of like the space between the bottom of the drawer, like the top lip of the drawer itself. And it was still like dripping it was fucking vile. Absolutely
the videos
vile.
You posted were disgusting.
There was footprints on the walls, like sideways on the walls.
Everywhere. Throughout the whole property.
Yeah, it was
the
fucking
hallway,
disgusting.
the living room, the dining room, the kitchen, the bedrooms. I haven't
been back.
I see the bathroom.
I haven't been back since. We gotta get it painted and just like tidied, cleaned, a couple little touch-ups here and there. Thankfully, most of the damage is like cosmetic. I mean, pretty much all the damage is cosmetic, right?
Yeah.
And it's more or less fairly easily fixable. My floors.
Your floors,
they fucked up the floors.
Yeah, how do you do that?
Like, they broke. Anyways, it's a thing. But it's fine because we buy on neighborhoods that are on the up and up. And we buy before they get a crazy little appreciation spike. And the appreciation happened.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the decision, if it were a year ago and this kind of happened and they finally got out, we would have been like, yeah, let's re-rent it and keep on going. You know, we'll keep on keeping on. But it's gone up so much in value. We're kind of just like, we each own like it's a JV deal, right? So we each own kind of like a little piece here and there. And we can all take out our money and then like 2.5, 3 times.
Yeah.
Even after the loss from like the tenants.
You don't have
paying,
to talk about
like,
the number that you're thinking of. We can.
I mean, I can't say it now because then I'll screw myself.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when it comes up in a few weeks or a month. Yeah,
hopefully, but it'll be good. We're gonna list that one. We're gonna sell that one. We're gonna make a nice tidy profit, and we'll move on to another project.
Yeah, just kind of
so everything works out in the end.
No, that's good. That's good to hear. Yeah, it was pretty rough over there. So you got those 2 listings coming up, I guess.
And then I got like a whole slew coming from the Junction one, like parents-in-law essentially, and then like their sister's moving back to town, and then because the parents-in-law are selling,
back to
the
town.
brother-in-law from
Sound
Boston.
like such a townie.
No, they live in Boston right now, like the sister and such.
So were they moving Newmarket?
No, what do you mean? No,
Toronto.
Not the people that are selling. Sister of client for the Junction listing.
Yes.
Is moving back from Boston.
Yes. To moving
Toronto.
Back to town.
Yeah, to Toronto. Fuck off, whatever. Yeah, I know. I'm from Newmarket, bud. Yes, we went to Tim Hortons with our cars, bud. It's a turbocharged me Hyundai, bud. I wish that last part was a joke, but drifted me grandma's Toyota in a Upper Canada parking lot, bud. Also,
this is not what city boys used to do.
No, because there's no parking lots to drift in. That's why y'all can't drive sideways.
Well, hold on. How long did it take for you to parallel park properly?
That's fair.
Andre.
Nobody parallel
over
parks.
Here. We go downtown. This guy.
No, man. I'm about them pull-throughs.
Parks like a kilometer away, pays for parking. I'm like, where's this guy that comes over?
No, that's why the first time I when I started doing leasing downtown, I was like, I need to buy a Mini. That's my only, just so I could figure out the parking situation.
Well, I went from the Chrysler, which is like a full-size boat.
How to drive a boat in Toronto 101.
I went from that to the Infinity, and the Infinity's like, I fit it everywhere. It's perfect. Yeah. I'm like, this is the best. It's so easy to park.
Yeah.
So funny though, the differences. Like anybody not born inside Toronto has a problem parking. It's across the board.
When I didn't,
I'm looking at you, Andre.
It's okay. Same, fam. Same. When I didn't live in Toronto and then came down to visit, for example, I would do the same thing. I'd park in a Green Pea. I would pay $20 a night just so I didn't have to parallel park. I was terrified.
It's tough,
especially before the invent of backup cameras.
Backup cameras are huge, though. That's the best thing ever. Yeah. Makes parallel parking so easy.
And the mirrors that tilt down when you hit the reverse. You don't have those.
This fucking guy, Jesus Christ, just looks me straight in the face. You don't have those.
Well, because maybe you do actually. No, you get that tech package.
So.
See, there you go.
Think so.
I'm just spinning
Whatever.
Like it is.
Most of us don't have that fill.
It's kind of standard.
Whatever.
In 2020.
Anyways.
I don't have Apple CarPlay, and that makes me sad. I wish I did.
So my listing.
Yeah, sorry. Tell me about your life.
Yeah, pretty exciting too. It's been a good week. Just working with some buyers. A couple really cool deals popped on the market, and there's one that we're kind of looking at before it's listed, so it's off market right now.
Oh,
but
yes.
Yeah, that one's kind of it's interesting. I mean, it's pretty average price for the area, but it's a good deal, and if we can close it, great. If not, there's other deals. There's a bunch is actually popping on the market right now. I just told my some of my investors that now is actually a good time to start looking with interest rates so low, and actually there was an influx in the last couple of days of properties in central. I wouldn't even say central, in the pockets that we look at for investments, which are I would generalize it into two main pockets, like on the east and on the west side of the city, but a bunch of properties just popped up. So it's been an exciting week, and also on that note, getting the listing at Liberty in Liberty Village is it's a nice listing. It's gonna be fun to shoot a video in that one and create some content there. You
gotta go fuck around with the dog park, talk shit about the bridge that's been 16 years.
The bridge is getting built. It's so this unit at 100 Western Battery Road is overlooking that bridge.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and it's almost built. So I mean the unit's it's going to be great. It's going to be huge.
Jesus. Okay, we can wrap. We're good. We're done. We're done.
Sorry, I said the great part, and I was like, oh my god, I sound like such a.
Anyways,
well, no, it's gonna be good, and
shoot a dog park video, bro. Talk about dogs. Literally, highest dog per capita in the world.
We already shot the dog park there. Obviously, you don't watch my YouTube videos
as part of the listing video.
Hi, my name's Spiro Briselis.
Does Gary Vee not talk about the same shit repeatedly all the time? To drill the same message in? I mean, no, he doesn't talk about dog parks, but like
that's true.
The same, different people, different clientele.
That's
for
true.
Liberty video versus random Liberty.
Yeah, we also kind of worked on the Markham listing again. I mean, it's still on the market right there. When you get in that price point, I mean, it's a little bit slower. Yeah,
especially now, right? COVID life.
Especially now, exactly. So we're just trying new marketing strategies out there. Not new strategies, but we're implementing new strategies
for your individual listing.
Exactly. These aren't brand new, top of the crazy groundbreaking.
What's a groundbreaking strategy?
YouTube.
No,
videos.
It's not groundbreaking.
Yeah,
I mean new, like never done before.
Okay, hold on. Let's rewind.
Never done before.
Okay, you look at realtors YouTube or media videos. And I fall asleep within 13 seconds.
Unless it's like...
It's literally like, welcome to my property at this address. And then it's like, do. And it just shows pictures of the place. And it's like, okay, well, I really don't care.
No,
I really don't care about this now.
That's not even a virtual tour. That's like, it's one of those... it's just a slideshow where they zoom in with music.
Exactly. And it's like, what? Like, what do you... Yeah. Who's going to want to watch this? Unless I'm actively... looking at that property to buy it, and then that pops up, and I'm like, okay, cool.
You know who has fire listing videos? Aditya. I don't know if you've seen a bunch of his like on the couch, just like hanging.
Just hanging, yes. Yeah.
I envy.
He's a chill guy, man. Videos. We have to get him on one day. We spoke to him like last year about it, and then obviously we took our hiatus. Rona. But
I mean, that
both.
too.
I guess both. Rona. But he's doing really well there, and Marco's doing really well too, keeping in touch with them. It's exciting to see what they're up to as well. I mean, it's exciting to see all of us as kind of a group. I mean, I know definitely totally different paths and totally different circles, but the connection between us and just seeing how they've grown and how we've grown in the same time.
Keeps everyone going. Keeps us all moving in the right direction.
I've had this conversation with Marco specifically, but watching what him and Aditya do pushes what I do as well, because Aditya every week has a new episode out, and it's great content.
He fires off the content. Good.
Yeah, and now kind of matching it.
I saw him on. I've been getting these ads lately for. I think his name is like Mike Sherrard, the purple BMW realtor guy. He was on different podcast. Get Shit Done, GSD mode, whatever. I don't know, another real estate podcast recently.
Cool.
He was talking about his like YouTube strategy, and then this guy's stuff starts to fire off at me, like his YouTube ads. And then I'm scrolling through. I'm like, okay, shit. This one almost got me. The course looks decent, right? It's between that one and Ryan Serhantz. So like
Ryan Serhantz, I'm gonna sign up.
I'm definitely gonna do it.
Okay.
And but I'm scrolling to the bottom, and one of the testimonials has got a DT's face on it.
Really?
And I was like, oh, fuck, now I know why your shit's so good.
Because you listen.
So I got to do both.
No, it's true.
Because you can't not do Sirhands.
I think you just got to do. So my whole marketing strategy when it comes to listings is market it as much as possible, and I think using online portals is the best way to do it. So Instagram.
But mailers are not a thing. I mean,
hold
okay,
on.
they're a thing.
They're still a thing.
They're not.
It's a different type of marketing.
Dollar value.
So yeah, if you're sending out mailers, odds are for your property, I mean, that's great. As a seller, you're excited about that because it shows that the realtor's taking money usually out of their pocket. Sometimes it's out of the seller's pocket, but usually out of the realtor's pocket to fully advertise that listing. So yeah, it's a good sign. And more people usually in the area the listing is are going to see that it's for sale. Now, those people probably already know it's for sale because it's their area, but 2 blocks over, Susie Sue, who lives in 64, whatever, doesn't know that that house is for sale. So, yeah, Susie Sue, God damn it. But her cousin might want to buy that property. So it's a good marketing strategy.
Susie's cousin doesn't want to live near Susie.
That's true. Susie Sue sucks.
Yeah.
Sucky Susie Sue. That's what they call her.
Oh, maybe I do want to live near Susie. Anyways, tell me more about your listing strategy.
Okay, so I mean it's a good strategy. It's used, but I would argue that it's beneficial for both realtor and for the selling listing.
Yeah. It's a very tangible.
It's tangible
marketing strategy, but the dollar per lead situation. All about that online.
But so online, I think it's not even the efficiency, it's the quality of the content. So when you send out a flyer with a picture and a few words, and usually they're super cheesy, like, I'm the best realtor, you can list with me and save money. Like, it literally doesn't.
Here's my calendar with a magnet on top.
Yeah, like it's fine. Actually, the calendars are kind of cool because people use them. They'd
be big.
You don't take in how many people actually have a calendar on their fridge. So it's interesting, but that's more for realtors. I'm talking about actual listings right now, right? So marketing yourself as a realtor, totally different thing. You can use marketing listings to market yourself
versus the actual listing itself.
The actual listing itself, right? So when you see quality content that's posted, right? That's not just a slideshow, because slideshows are literally grade 7 PowerPoint presentations. Are slideshows.
Like, are you doing PowerPoints in grade 7?
Yeah, I'm pretty young.
Damn.
Yeah. So it's way more advanced than that, right? Making quality content of the agent, either if the sellers want to be in it, which typically they don't. They're probably not. But the agent, if you add personality to that listing and you go in and you explain how cool it is and what you can do with the space, then instead of looking at slideshows and being like, I don't like where they put the couch, I don't want to look at it. You can say, look, there's a couch here, but if you move it here and put the TV there, it's a total different space. And you paint the picture for the potential buyers. So I really do believe in Instagram mainly and YouTube as very strong portals of showing what you have to offer. And it makes it a lot more exciting too. So
100%.
I think 100% is the best way to put it. 100% accurate.
100%.
It's the way to go. I think So if there was a transition, like you said, groundbreaking marketing. I mean, that's kind of a buzz. Excuse me, this is the Papa John's. It's a kind of a buzzword, right? Groundbreaking, and it sort of went from farming your area of sending out flyers to every single door every single week for years, to maybe in the newspaper, maybe taking out TV ads as some realtors do, maybe bus stops, maybe it went through that whole process.
About a listing specifically?
I'm talking about just advertising.
A realtor.
Now I'm just talking about advertisements.
Personal branding.
I'm just talking about advertisements now. Okay. Right? Listings.
Yeah.
You could find them on newspapers. You can find them on door hangers. Right? That's where they were typically. Then you started seeing the online content with slideshows mainly, and that's where it's lagged for me personally. And I appreciate the effort that realtors put into the slideshow videos and making content. I know it's tough. To make content. And if you don't have that certain personality, it's really tough to get by. But it's been so many years of that slideshow content. And I can guarantee, as somebody who loves real estate and has a lot of interest in it, and I will go out of my way to actually look at properties every single day. I'm not watching those. I'm not watching those at all. I skip through them right away. I get ads and I see a guy or a girl or person, and they're, whatever, they're doing their thing. They're speaking, and it's so nice. And I'm like, okay, I'm interested in your listing. And then all of a sudden, I see a minute and a half of slideshow with some like elevator music. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me?
I feel like you're really hyped up about this.
I am.
You're really passionate about fuck slideshows.
Well, you know what? That's not the thing. That's not what I want to. That's not what I come across. I don't want to come across like that. Like, I appreciate the effort. I'm saying I appreciate the effort.
But there's no effort. I did a slideshow for the last fucking listing. I spent $200 and I sent the photographers through. And I clicked the button and I said, "Give me a slideshow with the music."
That's fine. I'm not saying that.
Effort.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm saying the content wise of you going in making a video of that's something different. I think the slideshow like that is fine. I mean, you like you said, you spend $200, you put it
part
up.
of the photos.
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your actual social media of putting in the effort, going to the property, having somebody videotape you, and then only using 20 seconds of yourself talking.
Gotcha.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. And I appreciate that hustle. I get it.
You want to do more like an MTV Cribs, like let's walk through the house.
Like
let me tell you all about this
I'm watching you sell the place. Yeah. I don't care about the place. There's thousands of places I can choose from. Why would I choose yours? Just because of pictures? Probably not. It's about how I feel when I see your place. So if you make me feel better about it, I have way more of a chance, me personally as a realtor, of showing my clients because I get excited about it. But when I just see pictures, I'm like, all right, well, I can go search pictures all day. I don't need your cheesy music. That's where I'm coming from. So I appreciate the hustle. I get it, but do better.
But if you're already gonna be there,
exactly,
you already got the camera in front of you. You're already at the property. Go the
extra mile. Go the extra mile. Have it done right. And entertain me and everybody else, because that's what, at the end of the day, that's what you want. You want to be entertained when you're watching something. You're not watching something for 5 minutes to look at pictures and listen to music. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, every listing's got photos.
Every listing has photos.
Attract me to your listing, and then I'll look at the photos.
Exactly.
The photo. I mean,
that's exactly it. Right
see
there.
Whether or not I want to.
That's the marketing strategy right there. It's attract me, so that I can look and learn more. Teach me enough where I'm interested, or I understand a bare minimum of it, but attract me. So that's where I'm kind of going from. That's my whole perspective. So we went off on a tangent there.
There was some passion there.
There was, because it's I think I want people to succeed. There's enough for everybody to eat in this industry.
Hundo P.
100%. There's enough for everybody. So I don't think we're in an industry where I don't want others.
It's interesting though how much. I mean that spins me off into an entirely different direction.
Go for it.
But it's interesting how much though the industry is looked at as a very like dog eat dog, big shark, little fish, enough for me, but get fucked next guy. Mm-hmm. Like many. I mean, I think we're very different in the way our brokerage operates, very much as a team.
Yes. Yeah. We're very supportive.
But you look at the traditional big brokerage. I don't know what it is about. I don't know. Maybe it's just the season. I've been getting a lot of these like weird recruitment things lately, like from different brokerages. Yeah. Forest Hill, this and fucking Tony K Real Estate's going off on their.
Let's not say anything.
We can't talk about different bro. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, they're all firing them out, and then you look at like the. Then I go, okay, cool. Let's check out the website. Right? How many agents do you have? How can you really support?
Yeah,
each individual agent.
Each one says we're going to get all this
training and blah blah blah. And you're going to go to the website and
money.
There's like 600 agents that work for this one brokerage out of this one neighborhood, and you're like, I don't know, man. I feel like you're not going to be a real cohesive team.
You have a $600 or $1,000 a month desk fee. And it's like, well,
I don't even care about the fees. Fuck the fees. Fuck the splits. But like, I'm not gonna go to a place and then there's like zero support. There's zero.
Well, that's what I mean, right? Think about it though. 100 people work at that brokerage, right?
Yeah, and you're fighting over each other.
But none of them are making sales, most likely. Yeah. There's like maybe 1% of them, but all of them are paying desk fees. So the company's making money.
So what you're saying is I should start a brokerage and charge all the desk fees.
Don't start a brokerage. No, unless you're,
I have no fucking desire.
There's no point of starting.
Zero desire in my life.
Hey.
Could you explain what is a desk fee?
Oh, cool.
Non-real.
So
I love that Andre's got a mic now.
I was on the mic. I love it. That was great.
Yeah, well, sneak attack.
So a desk fee is just a fee that you pay in a brokerage just for working in it. So as an agent, you have to pay a fee. Now, people think maybe that's ridiculous, but there's a lot that goes on in a brokerage that needs to be paid for. And brokerages aren't traditionally a very profitable corporation or organization to have. Typically, they're
Kind of
not
property management.
Yeah, well, they're not making much money unless somebody's paying for something, right? So, for example, what you're paying for is the back end services. So every time you do a deal, all that system, all the software that you're using, you're paying for deal support, you're paying for receptionists, you're paying for training in some instances, you're paying for your actual desk fee. That's where the term comes from. Is traditionally you go into the brokerage and you have a little desk that you can work at. Hence, that's your desk fee, right? It's like charging rent to use that brokerage.
How much is that fee?
It ranges. So and this is why choosing a brokerage, and we're going on a real tangent, but it's why choosing a brokerage is so important. And like the brokerage that fits for the agent and what they want to do as an agent, where they want to go, because the desk fees can range. There can be different splits on your deals. So like a lot of people think, oh my God, every agent is so rich. They do this. They close this house and they immediately get $1 million house and they get $25,000. Not necessarily true, right? Sometimes there's a flat fee for a deal. Sometimes on top of a flat fee for a deal, there's a split. So the agent might take a certain percentage and the brokerage might take a certain percentage.
I would say that's the most traditional way.
Yeah.
The traditional way, if you go back like 20 years, you're seeing 70-30 splits. So what a 70-30 split, and this is a rough, obviously they all differ.
They all vary.
Right? They all vary. But let's say you're the average agent in Toronto, you're looking at 70-30. So that means if I was working 20 years ago and I had a client and I closed the deal, I would get 70% of that, my total commission. So that 2.5, let's say, let's take a step back. Typically, 5% is commission, right? 5% of your deal. Now, half of that goes to the seller, half that goes to the buyer, broker or agent or sales representative, whatever you want to call it. Typically. Obviously, that all changes and each deal is different. But let's just use those numbers. So 2.5% buyer, 2.5% seller. Right? So out of that 2.5% that I just worked for and made, I would get 70% of that, let's say. And then the brokerage would get the other 30%. So the way it works in real estate is once, let's say I close a deal, I don't get the money right away. My brokerage gets the money.
Yeah.
They get paid and then they pay you, right?
So, okay, here's a really dumb question. Why do you need a brokerage? Is
Why?
it like kind of like an escrow when it comes to, or selling real estate?
So it's a place that the license is held, and I'll be completely honest. I don't know why you absolutely must have a brokerage, but that's the way the legislation is written.
It's more about liability,
Yeah.
and it's more about laws and regulations. So the brokerage is the actual agent, right? So that's why in Canada, up till recently, I'm not exactly sure what's happened with the naming rights. We weren't allowed to actually call ourselves agents because we aren't technically the agents. The brokerage is the agent. So let's say you hire me to sell your property. You're actually hiring my brokerage to sell the property. I am the sales representative or broker, depending on my title.
So is it kind of like a car dealership equivalent? Or not really.
Somewhat.
You could look at it in a similar.
You can still sell a car.
No. You could look at it in a similar format. I think another point too being that, like, especially in the far more recent years, and this is why, like, maybe going back quite a few years, I was supposed to waive conditions for a deal. That already happened. We're good. We're firm, people.
Nice.
Anyways. The going back quite a few years, like a lot of people, individual agents that were maybe high performing agents, didn't want to cough up some of those splits, would go and start their own brokerage, and then they would be like a single agent, single brokerage, but they would have all of like they'd build in the back end so they could function as both. Nowadays, there's a lot of discount brokers, if you will, like cheap, that charge just a cheap desk fee or just a cheap deal fee instead of a percentage basis on your deal. So if you're doing a volume, it might just make sense to go with those people. But then again, they're all so different. Do you want the support that one brokerage provides, or do you want to do everything yourself but go to a brokerage that costs, very minimal?
So if you take a look at it from two different perspectives, you can look at it from the sales representative's perspective or broker's perspective, or you can look at it from the actual customer or client's perspective, right? Why would you choose a big name over a little name, or the cheap brokerage, or sorry, relatively cheap, meaning there are some brokerages that don't charge big fees and they don't have the big name, or the boutique brokerage. We work for a boutique brokerage, right? So why choose either one? Well, it's kind of like the reason you choose Colgate versus another toothpaste brand. It's because there's the big brokerages that everybody knows their name because all their money goes into marketing, and the brokerage is making money, and they're the big machine with a bunch of sales representatives. So like a Nordstrom, like Walmart. It's kind of like you go to Walmart, not for the people who work at Walmart, but it's because you know Walmart. You know that, right? But why do you go to the mom and pop store? It's because you know their service, you know what you're getting, and
oftentimes you know the people.
You know the people, and what they're giving you adds value to your life. So that's the difference there. And I'm not saying that agents that work for big companies aren't very good or don't give you that quality of service. It has nothing to do with that. Yeah. It's just a numbers game. There are a lot more agents that work at the big companies than there are at boutique brokerages, right? So if it's a good boutique brokerage, odds are that the people that work there are quite talented. If it's a good big name large brokerage, well, you never know. You're kind of, you think it is, but it's just the name, right? So that's what I'm just saying is you always have to do your research as a customer, right? That's from the customer's perspective.
Look at the agent as a human, as an individual, the person that you're working with, not the brokerage name. Right. I think that's where things have definitely, you kind of notice things are starting to shift maybe a little bit more to the boutique side of things, or like the individual agent starting to take a little bit more of a lion's share, and like the big name as a brokerage not holding so much power anymore over the little guy, if you will. But yeah, you're working with the person. You're not working with the brokerage.
Exactly. But then you go to a boutique brokerage, let's say like ours, who I'll say is Elevate Realty. That's where we both work. And you're going to get quality investments every time you go to this brokerage, no matter who you work with. I mean, pending. There are some agents that don't.
Probably a very unique scenario where we're not just unique. The brokerage, right? It's okay. Yeah, you are working with beyond just the agent, right? You're working with
the whole team,
the leasing side. You're working with the property management,
which is another.
Right? Yeah.
So there are reasons to go for each. Now on the sales representative side or broker side. Now sales representative and broker, somewhat similar. It's the same. So right now, for example, I'm considered a sales representative, and so is Phil, but I'm taking a course that I'm about to finish to be titled a broker. What that means is that I can start my own brokerage. Practically, that's the difference. It's you have a little bit more liabilities if you start a brokerage. But realistically, in practice, it's pretty much the same thing, just a little bit more courses that a broker did. But it's not a big difference, right? You don't need it. Now, on that end, it's why would you want to work for the Colgate brand, the big brand, or the boutique brand? Now it's what they're giving you. How much do you have to pay to go to the Colgate brand? Usually they're pretty high desk fees to go to somewhere like that. It's because you get their whole marketing package, right? So that big brand is already known. If somebody comes up to you and asks, hey, you're a realtor, where do you work? And you name that Colgate brand, they're gonna be like, I immediately know what you do and that you're with a reputable company.
Interesting. Right? This kind of happened to me recently.
It's happened to every realtor.
It happened to me here. Like at this house, we were in the backyard, and the neighbors had some homies over, and one of them was a realtor. And because he's a realtor, and I would have done the same thing. He saw this house sold recently. He immediately knew what we paid for it, which is also just a fun side topic. He's like, "Oh, you guys got a great deal." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I'm also a realtor." And he's like, "Boom, get into the conversation. I work for blah blah blah, #1 team in this neighborhood, and it's I don't even know what it was, Remax Hallmark, I think it was, and then a certain team under Remax Hallmark." I'm like, "Yeah, I work for Elevate Realty." Heard of me? No, fuck no. Of course you haven't. Yeah. But we are very good at the thing that you probably haven't thought of.
Exactly. And that's the whole difference, right? Yeah. Some agents some sales representatives or brokers are going to be geared towards going to somewhere that will do all the marketing for them, and they just have to they just have to put in their hours, put in their work, and it's going to come, even though that's not how real estate is at all. Realistically, it's pretty not cutthroat, but it's very unpredictable unless you are. unless you're grinding and you just keep your head down and keep doing what you're doing. So finding good deals, marketing yourself, and showing why you'll work really hard for your client. So that's the main thing. Is if you're going to be a realtor, and I know this is turning into giving tips on realtors, which
we're building in our own competition, but it's fine because, as you said earlier, there's enough to go around.
There is enough to go around, definitely. Sorry, Andre, you had a question, and
so here's another dumb question.
Dumb questions with Andre.
Yes, the title of the episode: Dumb Questions with Andre.
Why do I even need a realtor? Can I sell a house by myself?
You absolutely can.
And if I can, what are the pros and cons of that?
Are you trying to make me go bankrupt here? Shit. No, you absolutely can. And I think the pros and cons, I mean, the cons being if you don't, there's a lot of people, especially coming from the investor space, like the investor background, a lot of people will buy off-market properties, buy them privately. Part of the whole sales pitch is, hey, seller, you don't have to pay a realtor, so therefore I can offer you less. But it's a comparable pair, like you're netting the same amount of money. I suppose the issue comes in that if you're not versed in real estate trading, real estate buying and selling, etc., you don't know what to look for, what to miss out on. There's that aspect. You can get burned in that way.
Well,
but the MLS being a big other piece of the puzzle. So like trying to get your actual listing on anywhere but Kijiji and Craigslist requires use of a few specific services. Getting on MLS, the easiest way is through a realtor. But there are other discount. I won't call them brokerage. I guess in theory they are brokerages, but they're more of like a discount service that will post your listing online for like a flat fee. And while it's a little bit frustrating as a realtor to work with them, every time I've seen one of those, I've kind of just been like, cha-ching. There's some money to be made there because I know the other person on the other end isn't incentivized to do the client's best to do work in the client's best interest, right?
Yeah.
But yes, to long answer or short answer, you absolutely can work in a private way to sell your own home. Probably more common back in the day, but
I honestly would never advise it. And that's not because I am a realtor. That's because I think it's a ridiculous thing to ever do. And the reason being is unless you are full-time in real estate and you spend 8 to 12 to 15 hours a day in the market and learning about the trends and learning about what to look at and constantly searching properties, you have absolutely no clue what you're doing, right?
Sorry, when it comes to buying or selling?
Both. Selling, you can list it and you see that, okay, this one sold for this and this one sold for this. So therefore, mine needs to be around here. And you can be comping them totally wrong. I mean, the comp on its own, it might seem like a relatively easy thing to do, but have you walked the properties? Have you seen all what's out there? Do you know how much everything costs to go in a property? Do you know that your 1-car garage is not worth as much as a 2-car garage with front pad parking?
So,
right? Do you know that new electrical is very valuable and that yours is old? Do you know that? Like, there's so much more. And then this is, obviously, I'm saying the most basic things that popped in my head. But there's so much to it that hiring a professional, it would be like, again, writing a will without a lawyer. Like, yeah, you could do it. Was it going to work out? I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
Quite possibly.
I think, but
do you really want to roll that dice with $1 million purchase? I think if you do, go ahead. But as Phil said, every time I see that is when I'm trying to make my moves because I know that person has no clue what they're doing. Of course, I'm going to try to buy it from them.
It's similar to like two other aspects. Like for us, okay, we talk about how to be realtors and blah, 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 whatever. There's 50 whatever thousand realtors in Toronto, right? Part of as a very full-time realtor, you start to learn who's active in a neighborhood and who's not. And it's a very similar aspect to knowing someone is not a very full-time realtor, knowing someone is like, you got this listing from your aunts, cousins, whatever, and being able to take advantage of someone who's not full-time in the industry, who doesn't necessarily understand all the things that you were just mentioning, right? I see that
at a bare minimum.
I see that fairly frequently, and I kind of say, okay, well, this is a good deal. Now turn that up to 11 when you're not a realtor at all. Now that's not to say that it's impossible for some people, because there are many people that are very capable. There's a lot of data services out there that you can go and pull your own comps. If you're, let's say, like a full-time investor and you know what you're doing, you could be your own best weapon to sell the house and save yourself 5%. But what I see more often than not is, let's say flipping companies. Very often you have an investor, let's say, and someone got their license just for the sole purpose of buying and selling their own homes. But their job is not to be a realtor. So they don't know the market, the trends, the ups and downs. They're just there to save on commission. So I'm going to save commission by buying my own house. Well, okay, you get it back in your pocket, but you don't really save anything. Or I'll save commission by selling my own house. Now, I've made this mistake before by selling.
Sorry, just a quick question. How much does it cost to get a real estate license in Canada?
I think we're about, a few grand a year. I think I paid $3-4 grand in courses. Things have changed because the courses have since shifted from.
It's not so much the courses; it's
the
carrying.
Annual.
Yeah, so like we just said, the desk fees you're paying could vary from whatever it is per. Some people are $500, $600, $700, maybe more. But you're looking at. I just recently calculated this because one of my friends asked me, and you're looking at around $8,000 to $10,000 a year just to carry your license.
That seems high.
No,
that seems very high.
Well, what's your insurance cost? So you're paying roughly $2,000 to $3,000 just to be a realtor, and now it's your desk fees. Now, okay, if
it depends on which brokerage.
Exactly. If you're at a brokerage that you're paying like no desk fees, then it's much less. Maybe it's closer to $4,000 or $5,000.
So if you did like a not a Purple Bricks, what's the other purple guys? Right at home. Yeah, you can kind of, and a lot of part-time realtors will go with something like a right at home with a very low desk fee.
It's still going to be though over $5-6 grand.
Yeah, it's probably floating around that range.
Right. So but if you're at a regular Colgate brand of real estate, you're paying $8,000 plus.
You're not gonna. So if you're just doing a deal, a year or less, I wouldn't imagine
it's tough. Yeah, it's tough to carry. So. Yeah, I don't necessarily advise just getting it to get it because it's not going to really add any value to your life.
Use it.
But if you're doing, let's say you're an investor and you're buying one property a year at least, and you have the knowledge, maybe it makes sense.
It's a
right?
weapon.
Maybe it makes sense. You're going to make $20,000 on buying a property for yourself. Sure, go ahead. But you're probably not going to find the best properties because there's guys that do it full time that have already seen the house and put an offer on it by the time you've seen it for the first time. So that's the big difference.
And same thing on the back end. It's the more I've noticed it personally has been on the sales side of things, is like being able to comp it right, listing it right, listing strategies, offer date, no offer date, when to move, when to take the offer, like all that type of stuff that you learn and as being a full-time active realtor, you just don't have. So the question becomes, is it more beneficial to just pay the fees, like pay the commission, and then likely get a higher sale price? Or are you good enough to make up the difference, right? And there are absolutely some people that are good enough to make up the difference.
Well, I'd be intrigued.
But I would say a majority probably are not.
I don't know these stats offhand, but I wonder what the difference is of selling the property on your own versus selling the property with a realtor. I don't know how you could even find
the closing ratio or the percentage
the price, the average price difference. Because I would argue that a realtor, a good realtor, now that's a whole other discussion.
Well, that's why,
right? Like you can hire realtors that have absolutely no clue what they're doing as well. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
If you pass a course,
aunts, cousins, blah blah blah,
exactly.
Who's got their license and hasn't done a deal in 5 years, but.
Sorry, but in theory, who's paying the realtor's fee? The buyer or the seller?
The seller is the one paying the realtor fee.
Well, yes.
But you can also mark up the property too.
That's exactly it. Yeah. So the buyer is technically paying the seller who pays both the realtors, the 5%. So like technically it's the seller, but it's the buyer's money they're using to pay. So I mean, yeah, it's Phil's face.
I do this for a living, and you just Anyways,
the seller pays to make it easy out of the money that they just made from the buyer.
Correct. Yeah, so they just get paid less money.
Yes,
but okay, let's put a stop to that altogether. What happens if the seller is selling at a loss? Then who pays? It's still the seller.
It's still the seller.
It's always the seller.
Yeah, so the seller always pays. Hopefully, I mean, in
actually,
usual
no,
markets.
Not always. And this is where these weird private deal scenarios come up.
I failed the test. I went to university and I learned never to use words like always or never. This is just always.
I guarantee that I will never guarantee shit.
Exactly. There you go.
No, let's in a private deal. Let's say I put this happens with wholesalers a lot. Is like, okay, who's gonna pay the commission of a wholesaler? So like if you as a realtor are on a wholesaler's list and they send you a deal that's private, off market, not with a realtor, and you, the realtor, wants to send it to your client, well, how the fuck do you get paid, right? So you as the buyer realtor then have to mark it up or negotiate with the seller to pay your commission somehow. So like that can be a thing as well. Sometimes you have to negotiate with your buyer because you got them such a good deal that they've got to pay your commission because nobody else is going to do it. So like I won't ever say always, right? There's always, there's sometimes scenarios.
I'll admit that I made a mistake there by using the term always.
Canceled.
Yeah. No one's listening to this podcast after that.
I know. That's what turned him off. That's what cut it.
I made a fool of myself for the terminology I used, and I apologize.
I guarantee you that Spiro will always say dumb shit.
I guarantee you, Phil. I'll leave that in the comments.
Okay, so here's another question. So yesterday I was watching Matt McKeever TikTok. If you don't know, that's a YouTuber. He's investor in London, Ontario. And basically, he said that it is very important, very difficult to find an investment property in Toronto.
No, he didn't say that. He said it's impossible. I'm pretty sure.
Did he use those words?
Yeah,
impossible.
He said you can't do it.
Well, he said that it's almost impossible to cover your mortgage with rental.
That hurts me deeply. That hurts me in my soul.
What are your thoughts on that?
Can I get the whiteboard out and just do some? Actually, it's not a whiteboard.
Honestly, you go, because you guys know how I felt about that whole video. It was just. I hated it. I hated it so much.
That it's an interesting topic that comes up frequently. Toronto, Vancouver. Actually, I saw it on Bigger Pockets recently too on a forum. Someone tagged me. Shit, I forgot to respond. Bad agent Phil. Bad. But they were like, "Hey, homie, can you cash flow? And if I was a new guy, should I do Toronto or Vancouver?" But anyways, first of all, every single city under the sun, I don't care where you are, has an investment strategy. It might not be the same investment strategy to buy cheap houses with the 1% rule and cash flow super positive, but it might be a very speculative strategy. It might be a cash flow negative strategy, but there is an investment strategy of some variety, right? Now, can you cash flow? I believe was the specific question. And I've had this conversation a lot with quite a few people through quite a few circles, and I was a convert myself. I, for one, did a lot of the Oshawa, a lot of the Hamilton, a lot of the Barrie, and never kind of, drifting my Toyotas in the new markets, homie. I never came to Toronto and knew that it could cash flow. And then my eyes were opened.
Yeah, it's definitely possible.
I think part of the reason people don't understand is they just look at the prices and they don't actually realize how much different the rents are. Like, especially for someone like McKeever, like anybody who knows how to run just quick math on a rental property, if you understand what the property costs and what it will rent for, and probably the missing piece here in a lot of times that people look at Toronto is how to convert it or how to change the current use of the property to its highest and best from a cash flow perspective. Seems to be like the missing piece of the puzzle there. People just kind of like, well, it looks like this, so therefore you can't. It cash flows. Okay, it doesn't cash flow as a single family. It doesn't cash flow when you buy a condo. But when you buy an $800,000, $900,000 house and you rent the upstairs for $3,000 and the basement for $1,500, you're going to cash flow positive. It's
and
pretty,
in some instances, you're cash flowing a significant amount.
It doesn't have to be gigantic, but I mean, my last few were both over $1,500 cash flow until the tenants stopped fucking paying. But different strategy. The appreciation was astronomical and not something that you would see in a market like I will never say it's impossible, but like not something that you would traditionally see in a market like a London or a Kitchener or a Waterloo.
Yes, like
or
huge.
Or a Hamilton.
Think about it. You're buying a $300,000. Probably $200,000 home, whatever the price is, $200,000, and it appreciates to $250,000. That's a huge appreciation, and it's $50,000. In Toronto, you buy a house for $800,000, now it's $1 million. That's $200,000.
Well, I think part of the
right.
I mean, part
That's
of the
$200,000.
maybe not struggle, but part of like the reason that Toronto
barrier
ends
to
up
entry.
being attractive. Well, one, barrier to entry is a whole other situation.
Yeah, you need
And that's
200 grand
why,
minimum to really
like,
be in the conversation.
I talk to guys that do a lot of the local markets outside, and they're like, "Yo, well, our clients are coming to us with approvals of like 500 grand." Right, which is, I mean, that's most people in that are going to be able to have purchase power in that range.
So you buy a condo.
So you're let's not even get the condo.
You buy a condo.
Space.
Buy a condo.
Anyways, if you can, the barrier to entry, yes, is huge. Don't even remember where I was going. I was going off on a tangent, and then you hit me with the condo thing. No, I wasn't even going to say barrier to entry.
It's a pretty big one, man.
I know it is. I was saying a benefit. Benefit, doors. People get real fucking horny about how many doors they own outside the city.
That's true.
And there are some. I mean, I think Monica talked about it on her episode with her. Thank God, about the benefit of owning fewer. Right, you don't need to necessarily be flexing your door boner all the time, just to show that you're a dope investor because you have X amount of doors. To me, that just says X amount of headaches. Right, I've been a property manager for way too fucking long in the past to know that like I would rather have maybe less cash flow. I'm not going to argue that the cash flow per dollar spent, like the cash on a monthly, isn't better outside of the city. Absolutely, if you're getting slightly lower rents, but half the purchase price or a third of the purchase price, great. You're going to have pretty high cash flow. But you don't have the ability to say, I'm going to let this one tenant, two tenants in a property sit in it and ride, and it's going to cash flow positive, but it's also going to appreciate like crazy on $1 million purchase. And the appreciation rate, if both are held similar, is still going to create more wealth on a annual basis.
I think the one thing about that whole crowd there, the Matt McKeever crowd, and first of all, let me just start this by saying super successful. I would say he's a smart guy. I love his content. This is nothing against him at all, or that crew at all. But it's like what you were saying. It's the headache side of things that they don't account for, right? And you.
I'm sure they account for it. They know. They must.
I mean, in the videos. So like, you post a video saying, "This is what I make $100,000 a month on rent." Okay, but what are all your expenses? You own 100 doors. I guarantee you there is constant work being done on the properties, constant handymen, constant tradespeople going through, and that number isn't as sexy as it initially seems. You can say, "Oh, in Toronto, I make 60 grand a year on rent." Okay, great. But what did you spend? What's your mortgage? What are your expenses?
Actually,
what are all the renos that you had to do on the place? Most of the time, real estate deals will doors. Break even, and that's great. That's great if you're making actual positive cash flow. And I'm talking about anywhere, meaning okay, monthly you can be making $1,500 or $2,000 wherever you are. Great, that's awesome. And by the time your year goes by, that's 20 plus grand. Awesome. Now, how much did you spend back in the property? Right? Maybe it was none this year, but maybe in 2 years you have to change your roof. Well, there goes a full year.
And now what if you got 100 single family homes with 100 roofs?
Exactly. With 100 roofs, with 100 leaky basements, right? With a bunch of tenants who half leave.
Well, to be fair, we probably have more leaky basements in Toronto,
but whatever it is, right? So there are
old.
So many different things that pop up. So in my perspective, when I think of investments and when I look at real estate as investment, I don't look at it as a quick cash flow model. I think 30 years down the road when my amortization period is over and my mortgage is paid off and then I'm just making pure profit, sure. Great. I can live off that. That's fine. But right now for me to live off it is a huge gamble to take because there are so many costs that may pop up that it would be foolish just to rely on that as an income.
So, and this comes back to different cities, different investment models.
Exactly.
Right? There is a pure cash flow play for some and that are comfortable doing the whole fire on cash flow and being in great shape. Toronto, I don't think is a super cash flow heavy place, but it is a great place to build safe wealth. Right, these properties are fairly insulated. There's only so many freeholds in a certain pocket in a pretty attractive globally market, and you also have just like it's just safe. Cash flow's defense to me. Like cash flow is not what pays my bills.
Exactly.
It's what keeps me from having to pay for the property.
Exactly.
And
that's the best way to put it.
I think that's the safe way to look at our model. And now, I mean, I'm sure, and actually Rochelle, who was on our episode a while back, has said the same thing. She said the Toronto doesn't cash flow thing in many different places because that's how she gets her investors, right? We all kind of pitch what works best for our model.
That's true.
If the image of Toronto being incredibly unaffordable, which I'm not going to lie, for most it is.
Yep.
But if that image, perpetuating that image helps you push clients into your niche, that's what you're going to do, right? And if us bantering about other people perpetuating the image of Toronto not cash flowing and to argue with that pushes
words,
people
man.
into our niche. I'm not even sure if I'm using the word
Bantering and
correctly.
perpetuating.
Let's be real. I'm probably not even using it right.
I impressed you there.
But if it gets people, into our fuck it, whatever, right? We're all in the same game.
It's a
Truth
sales
be told,
model.
all I'm
It's
saying
marketing.
is there are models that work in every market.
Yeah, don't be foolish to say it doesn't work somewhere.
Yeah,
and
just
don't be
do
foolish
the-
to say
do
it
the
only
math.
works in one certain place.
Talk
It works
to
everywhere.
someone if you want to invest in a certain city. Talk to someone who's a pro in that area, who is actively investing in that area. Learn their model, learn what they do, and then understand and shop multiple. Right? If you're not sure what model you want to invest in, what neighborhood, what city, do you want to drive out of town? If you live in town, do you want to move out of town? Do you want high cash flow? Do you want stable returns? Every one of them is going to be different. Figure out which one works for you. They all, well, I won't say all, Detroit, but, they could all do. Actually, I'm sure Detroit's just doing fine right now.
Hypothetically, everything should have a scenario that works out, or else it would completely fail, realistically. Right. And I just had this conversation recently with a future investor, and they told me, they asked me, do you think that Toronto has less of an upside and more of a downside risk than going an hour or two out of the city? And I kind of asked the question back to them, and I said, well, if the middle of nowhere fails as a city, so let's say, and I don't mean this as middle, like let's say, use Barrie as an example, okay? Mm-hmm. If Barrie's whole industry just collapses, and I'm not talking about Barrie at all, it's probably fine and everything's great, but let's say Barrie just totally collapses, do you think Toronto's house prices are going to fall? Most likely not. And if they do, by relatively nothing. If anything, they might even increase. Now, if Toronto's house prices fall, do you think Barrie's are going to fall, or do you think they're going to rise all of a sudden? They're probably going to drop. I would argue that everything outside of Toronto would drop if Toronto totally fell.
Oh, if Toronto shit the
If
bed.
Toronto went from 1 million to 800,000 even.
Yeah.
Well, why would you buy somewhere for 800,000 an hour and a half away? It doesn't make sense.
What is it, 2017, 18? Whenever they introduced that, the foreign tax, the foreign buyer tax here locally, I remember quite vividly what happened almost overnight. And York Region was just starting to pick back up near the tail end of last year, catching up to where it was pre that whole situation. But Toronto kind of flatlined a little bit. It gained a little bit of a dip, but then it held stable and started to work its way back up fairly quickly. Meanwhile, a lot of the outside cities started to took quite a while. They had quite a big dip and took quite a while to slowly climb back up. And there's some that are still.
But
then on the flip side, I think COVID has done it's all to say that none of us know what's actually going to happen, right?
With COVID,
COVID has flipped the market on its head entirely, and you're seeing this with rents, which again are not going to stick around forever, right? People are going to come back to the big metros, but right now there's a little bit of an exodus from I don't want to be in a condo, I don't want to be part of that life, I can work from home, so why don't I go buy somewhere where I can get space? And those markets are having a bit of a crazy influx, which for us is just buying season here. And for tenants, it's just moving season if you want to stay in Toronto, right? But all that to say, up, down, it's going to happen. But regardless, we're fairly stable. Fairly stable. We're pretty fucking stable.
Andre, do you have any more questions for us?
What time is it? We're getting late.
Yeah.
Feels so late now with all this new studio set up.
It's also pretty late.
Yeah. Lauren's going to kill us.
No, I think you answered all my questions.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to wrap this up then. What are you doing this week?
Trying to sell this junction house. And then trying to fix up our place. Not gonna lie, that's a pretty high on the list.
Nice.
Tidy that place up. Get that listed. And then
Sounds
just
exciting.
hang. What about you?
So Andre and I are shooting Kensington Market tomorrow. So by the time this is posted, it'll probably be a pretty similar time that video's out. So if you've made it this far, might as well go check out the Kensington Market video. I can't even pronounce it. It's like
Kensington.
The Kensington Market, man.
Oh, don't do that. That's bad. We're getting canceled for that shit.
Yeah, so go out, Spiro Resalis on YouTube, Spiro Resalis on Instagram, Spiro Resalis literally everywhere. Just type in my name,
I've tried.
SPIRO.
He's like
Resalis.
14 pages deep on Google.
It's just
He's
me.
the only one that
only
exists. Just type in his fucking name.
Type it in, you'll find me, follow me, love me, and I'll love you back by creating good content. That's all I can ask for.
That's how.
And Phil, we can find you at philg.re.
Hey, there we go.
On Instagram.
It's easy.
That's probably the best way to find you.
Don't
Phil Gardner.
Google Phil and the kid or other
We're
weird.
the only podcast that's going to tell you not to search us. By the time
Other
we
weird
shoot our next
Dr.
episode,
Phil videos.
we may have a new name. So bear that in mind. We might be coming back with a big rebrand. But for now, this has been
Another
Phil and
one.
the Kid. Thanks for tuning in. Take care.
This is Phil signing off. Don't do that. Why did I do that? That was weird. Let's never do that again. I gotta piss like a racehorse.